What's up, guys and gals, and welcome to Veve Vibes, where I hate talking all things Veve NFTs, speculation, and of course the market. Obviously, I'm just kidding. This is just clearly just clickbait, just to get you guys on here. But more importantly, I have been in a lot of Twitter spaces and different platforms like Twitter, Reddit, things like that, where people are voicing their concerns about Veve right now when it comes to not being transparent and some of the other topics that I'm going to talk here in a bit. And so these are content creators, community members, people that are speaking out. And I'll be honest, right now the market is recovering a bit. Like, just, it was pretty ridiculous how cheap some of the Disney golden moments were low, and people are buying them up now. So the market is making a small reversal, but it's still just not getting to the root cause of a lot of the issues or concerns that people are having about Veve right now. So I will say I will be releasing a video tomorrow that is going to be infinitely more positive than this. Something like maybe 5 reasons I love Veve, something like that. But I did want to kind of bring this up, all these kind of topics up before the David and Dan video that will, I think, be coming out on Wednesday. And just see how many of these topics, or kind of like these points that I'm bringing up, how many of these things they actually touch on, whether it's on the good or the bad side of things. I'm just kind of curious which things they touch on, and I might do a reaction video based on the video that they're going to be doing at that point. So yeah, so I kind of got all these topics based on what people have been saying. I'm not going to edit this, and I'll be honest, this is the second time recording, because the first time I recorded, it was just 16 minutes of me being muted. So I'm going to be a little bit quicker with this than I was last time. So I will be putting timestamps in the description below, as well as on the video, for my different points. So the first one is UI is terrible. Now, the UI isn't technically terrible, you know, if you're comparing it to like a year ago or anything like that. I started Veve during the original golden moment, so basically like mid-October-ish or something like that of 2021. But I will say, we are still having occasionally, I'm not getting as much as I was before, but issues of like the whole no collectibles found thing. If you guys know what I'm talking about, you look up a collectible and sometimes it just says no collectibles found. You have to back out of the app, reopen it. It can get super obnoxious. Also, no search feature for NFTs or other users. Like, there's no way to find other users other than awkwardly going to Fastos at 9.9 million, finding Veve Vibes, clicking on it, and then follow and like and all that stuff. That's where you can find me, by the way, is at Fastos 9.9 million. I also have a listing for Steamboat Willie at 9.9 million as well, the ultra rare altogether now Mickey, that's what it's called. And that's the other thing for NFTs, there's no search feature for NFTs either. Like, I tried typing stuff in and it just doesn't work, and sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time it does, or most of the time it doesn't work. Also, a lot of bloat in the brands category. Like one of the more recent ones, like the Matt Gondek drop. It's like we have a Matt Gondek category with all of his NFTs, then we have a different category with just his poster, then we have another category with just his weapon rack thing. So it's like we have one, you know, we have one artist and he has 3 different categories, and I feel like we're getting a lot of bloat, and it doesn't seem like a big deal, but the fact that we don't have a search feature yet, we have to, me personally, I have to click over and scroll all the way down through you know, sometimes 5, 6, 7 pages these categories to find what I'm looking for, because I can't just search it up straight up. So that part does get a bit annoying. Other UI issue is the bid system is kind of a joke. Like right now, like the number that counts down isn't always correct. It gives you more time than what's actually going on. Not only that, when you try to place a bid, it has like, it only shows you like the first 3 digits period and like the last 2 like percentages of like a, you know, a gem or whatever. But basically, if your bid is more than 4 digits, it kind of like goes off the screen and you can't see what's going on. Not only that, when the bid screen comes up, it covers the price of the current bid, so you kind of have to guess like what it actually is, especially if you're trying to do some like last second sniping on certain bids, which is super annoying. So like the whole screen covering thing and the number being off is just an absolute headache. On top of that, also NFTs, if you try to look up the info tab for certain NFTs, the little I button is so tiny that sometimes I accidentally press the NFT itself and it starts all of a sudden downloading the image, and it thinks I want to start doing like a VR thing with the NFT. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to look up the info so I can look at the floor price. But every time, you know, I fat finger it and I accidentally click on the NFT itself 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, gosh, this is so annoying. So I hope there's an easier way for people to like look up the info of the NFT rather than always accidentally clicking the download feature or whatever it is for the NFT. So yeah, those are just a couple of things of the terrible UI that I've talked about. Number 2 is drop system issues. So the first one, this one might take me a while. So first one is, first of all, you know, fast internet, good phone, you know, you obviously need that perfect timing and all that stuff. So on top of all that, it definitely seems like the blind boxes react differently based on like, it definitely seems like the collectible blind boxes react very differently than the comic blind boxes. So they, I mean, they pay stuff out the same, right? You click on the thing, if you win it, you get one of the 5 or 2 or 3 random things that you get. But it seems like you can spam gate on the collectibles, which I've gotten way more success on the blind box collectibles. But with the comics, I haven't won a comic in in 4 months. Like I started during golden moments. I won two comics my first month, and I haven't won and I've changed my techniques multiple times, and I've tried it, you know, over the course of a few weeks to kind of give it enough time to see if I'm doing it correctly and all that stuff. But even then, it's like, it seems like the blind box format, you can't spam gate on the collectible, and you have to time it, which is another thing. You have to kind of use time.io to time it if you're going for a rebound, which is, I almost did, and I still might do an entire video of just how ridiculous the rebound system is. You're in the app, there's nothing that prompts you that rebounds even exist. There's not like, I think what Veve should do is when the timer goes down to 0, 3, 2, 1, 0, another timer should start that just says rebound or just something different, and it starts counting down. And if there's a buy button available, cool. If all of them are allocated, then there's no more buy button, then it is what it is. But it seems so weird that I have to like go to a third-party app, go to time.io or time.gov, and I have to time it up with my phone. And even then, sometimes those websites aren't completely accurate with their time. Sometimes they're off by half a second or a second and a half, and I have to take that into consideration with already the lag of my internet and my phone speed. And it just seems like the same people are just winning over and over and over again. Like I've never gotten a rebound. The last rebound I got was actually Electra, and I kind of just let it go because I knew it was not going to be profitable 85 to 90% of the time. But before that, I've never gotten a rebound ever in my life on Veve, and I've tried dozens of techniques of, you know, a line gate and metronome gate and this and that and eyes closed technique and all this like crazy stuff, and like none of it's ever worked. It just seems like, I don't know if it's certain you know, models, you know, certain make of models of phones just tend to do better with certain internet. And if you're on the East Coast, maybe you perform better. Like there's just so much like arbitrary and just like, you know, theoretical information out there about like drops. It just doesn't make sense. And it just seems like certain phones do win. Like I'm on the Discord and I see the same people like, oh, I won the drop and I got 2 rebounds. I'm like, dude, I've never gotten a rebound and I never won a drop on comics. Like, how is this happening? There's not a lot of rhyme or reason as to what's going on with these drop systems. So rebounds are just blowing my mind. So I might do a video on that. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys want me to do a video on the rebound system and how it's a complete joke. And basically, unless you talk with people in community or hang out in Discord or in Twitter spaces or something like that, you would never know rebounds even exist. There's nothing prompts you in the app. So yeah, anyway, going on. Number 3, bots. Obviously they are abundant and noticeable. You guys see the huge sell walls that come up. There was someone in a Twitter space most recently, I forgot their name and I forgot which Twitter space to be honest, but they were able to somehow look at like the metadata of a lot of the accounts that are winning these drops and stuff, and they found that like a ton of them like are typically newer accounts that never own any collectibles. They usually win the drop and trade it to someone else to sell it on the market, which is just absolutely crazy. And it sounds like it's well over 50% of the drops are going to bots. Like I can't confirm that, you know, this is all just speculation, but based on that information, it doesn't surprise me, especially since you notice something like that with the Electro drop. Honestly, I feel like very few bots. I feel like most of the bots didn't even go for the Electro drop. That's why so many people were winning it. That's why I was actually able to get a rebound. A lot of people were declining it. And we didn't see that many bots up for the Electro drop. A lot of people that were selling them seemed like legitimate accounts. On top of that, it does seem like Veve is outsourcing whatever company is handling the bots. And maybe the company is just telling Veve like, yep, we're handling the bots. We busted this many. I'm like, okay, cool. But at the same time, we're still seeing tons and tons of bots just winning these drops. We still see listings going below box price. And yeah, it can be nice that you can buy some of these things for below box price, especially for like the common and uncommon like comics and other collectibles and stuff. But overall, like I'd rather just have people just win the drops, get them into collectors' hands instead of forcing people to always go to the secondary market to buy stuff. And I understand winning drops is a privilege and not a right, and it's all about luck and all that stuff. It should just be considered a bonus. But incessantly just having 50 to 60% of the drops always getting taken by bots, I assume is just going to be very annoying by the community. And that's actually why I feel like a lot of them like the blind box format, because it seems relatively fair. Because before we had independent artists where you had to either pick the secret rare, the ultra rare, the common, when you could pick specific ones, like all the bots are just going to snipe all the secret rare and ultra rares, just leaving the commons and uncommons for the rest of us. So yeah, forced to play on the secondary market, less control over likely than what they say. So yeah, and it's hard because it's super easy to make accounts. And I know some people have said, well, just do know your customer and other issues. You know your customer isn't going to be the end all be all. It does kind of feel like right now Veve's just sweeping it under the rug. They just say, hey, we're busting bots, this and that. I tell Q system, because the Q system is the ultimate just bot busting thing. Like, you know, you can Q system, and at that point, it's just a number of phones and not how fast you are to react to the drop for the most part, right? So all right, so that's it about bots. Number 4 is the whole changing collectibles, like mainly the FA/FE tag thing. I've talked in depth. I have multiple videos talking about it. I've talked about it in multiple streams. I'm not a huge fan of the FA/FE tag thing. That's something I'm probably not going to let up for a long time, because the community wanted clarification, not wide sweeping changes on the back end of the metadata of all these NFTs. Like no one saw that coming. And this is kind of where Veve could have done a better job with, you know, the whole communication and clarification thing. They said, oh yeah, tomorrow we're gonna be releasing an article that will clear things up. Not they should have said, oh yeah, we're going to be making changes to hundreds of thousands of NFTs that you guys have already purchased as they were then, so be ready. Like, I don't think they would have said that, and they probably shouldn't have said that, even if they did know that going ahead. But also even adding thing, you know, I won't get into the whole FE tag thing. It just seems weird that they gave a lot of the black and white series NFTs a pass. You know, they understood the value of removing tags, but they don't understand the value of changing tags. And, you know, they left, you know, a couple thousand NFTs, you know, a few thousand NFTs from the original black and white series, but the hundreds of thousands of NFTs from the DeLorean all the way to the most recent independent artist drops all got changed. Everything just nosedived at that point. So collectible features they didn't have before. Yeah, also adding and removing collectible features that they didn't have before. So the DeLorean initially had the drivable feature, then they removed it. Rip mode didn't even have a feature, then they added one later, like an animation or whatever. I didn't know that. Someone actually told me that recently. So if we start adding features or removing animations or adding animations, will that make usually the ultra rare and the secret rare versions of those collectibles less valuable? Because now all of a sudden the rare and the ultra rare or the uncommon now have like an animation. All right, now the ultra rare doesn't seem as special because that also has, you know, an animation as well. And, you know, if they're able to change the back end information of a lot of these collectibles or these NFTs, do we really own them? That kind of brings into question, do we really own them? Could I just put my, you know, NFT in a cold wallet so you can't just access it? It seems kind of weird that's like, as well, if it's on this platform, you guys can just change it willy-nilly however you want, you know. And that's kind of a question I had for them in the next like AMA, which is like, hey, like what kind of gets you guys, like, was there ever a point during the FE change that you guys wanted to do a community poll, or maybe just leave the NFTs as they were and just kind of like move on going forward? Because I can almost guarantee you probably 95% of the people on the platform would have said, please don't change my tags, just move on. If you guys made a mistake, just leave it and move on, you know, instead of just making changes to collectibles. Like I would imagine that David, you probably wouldn't be a big fan of his physical collectibles getting manipulated or changed on the back end by someone changing it up. But yeah, regardless, do we own these NFTs as well? And another question is, if we're making these kind of changes, what are some things in the future that they could possibly do that could make additional changes to these NFTs? Because if they make some of these NFTs interactive and stuff in the Veveverse, I don't really care too much. But if it's happening like on Veve, and now we're giving animations to NFTs that didn't have it before, and now that's given it additional value, and now people that originally owned it, that sold it too early, they're like, well, this is not fair. I sold it literally the day before we made the change. This is just silly, you know, whatever. Moving on. Last but not least, I might have to take a drink for this one. I think this kind of gets to the backbone of all of this, which is incorrect info / bad communication. So the whole hashtag soon thing, you know, there's kind of a roadmap, but it's like we're supposed to be like, right now we're almost a quarter of the way into 2022 and we still haven't really done much to be like, we're almost on a couple exchanges and stuff like that, but so far it's like we have no MTL, we have no OUP, there's no Q system, there's no OMI to NFT, which is probably later this year. You know, a final master collector program update or article, comics and showrooms, Veveverse 2022, that was on their website for like the longest time, like Veveverse 2022. It's like, are we going to really crunch all these things in over the next like 9 months? You know, who knows? And plus all the communication about the, you know, the chili peppers. Oh, by the way, there's no more golden moments as far as, you know, my knowledge is. And then like 2.5 weeks later, there's more golden moments. Mutable X taking forever. You know, migration was a mess. Not a lot of exchanges on OMI right now. Backpedaling of the buyback program. Not putting up drop info like little hours before the drop. I probably should have put that in with the Q system issues or whatever. But like, I've noticed the last like few weeks when they put the info on the app, like I noticed the most recent comic drop with like the female Spider Woman or whatever, Spider Girl, like the What If series thing, it wasn't on the app. Like I actually went to bed like probably like 6 or 7 hours before the drop and it still wasn't on the app. Like it still was showing Timon and Pumbaa and all that stuff. I'm like, dude, how close is Veve cutting it with like showing this information? I remember earlier Veve, they used to post that information like well over a day in advance and it would say 26 hours and it would start counting down. But now it's like, you know, unless you literally live on Discord or on Twitter, you would have no idea that there was literally a drop tomorrow morning. So I don't know what's going on with that, like why they're not putting up drop info, as well as some of the Medium articles are just appearing later in the day, literally the day before. So it seems like, you know, they're not really showing a lot of info for the most part on the app. And I think that's just kind of crazy to think about. But I think overall, it's I don't think people are mad that things aren't happening. It's more like there's just no transparency. Like, I'm not mad that we don't have MTL. I'm not mad that we don't have comics and showrooms yet, or that we don't have Q system yet. I would just like to get at least a timeline or some sort of communication where it's like, hey, we thought we're gonna have Q system coming up by this month, but we had some other things show up, and now we have this hurdle. So optimistically, it might be 3 months, but if things kind of keep getting piled up, it could be 4 to 5 months or whatever it is. Just some sort of communication as to like where we are along the process, instead of just hashtag soon, hashtag soon, hashtag soon. And you know, I don't really buy into the whole idea of like, oh, competitors are listening and so they can't give us a lot of information. All right, if they're talking about IPs and very, very specific drops, okay, that's fine. But if we're talking about just general features that literally other NFT programs already have, like I think a lot of people are just asking for certain features that already exist, like interoperability. HRO already has that. Talking about cash out, Recur already has that. Now I know those two platforms are literally only focused on like 2 or 3 things, while Veve's so focused on like 27 things right now. So don't get me wrong, but like some of these features have been promised by Veve for like over a year, and I realized that cash out takes anywhere between like 12 to 18 months based on what's going on and all that stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, but it'd be nice just to know that they just tell us like, hey, we just applied for MTL a little bit late, or hey, we applied for MTL, but because of the OMI token and this and the way that the platform has been set up, and because we switched from the Go chain over to ETH, you know, the ETH platform or whatever it is. As you guys can tell, I don't really know much about like the whole interoperability and OMI and the exchange listings and all that stuff. But at least like just communicate with us a bit. It almost seems like they just don't want to give us any information. What I want is the same way Reese gets so granular about bridging your OMI token to another platform or this or that, blah, blah. Like, why can't you be that with about drops or just typical updates? Like, yeah, so what else? Features that we asked them for a year. But yeah, I think it's just transparency. I think we just want to know like what's going on, rather than soon, or it's in testing, or we're still working on it, or we're putting on the finishing touches and this and that. It's like, how long, dude? It's like, I don't know. It's starting to look a little bit, it's not looking very good when it's taking us, you know, months to put comics in showrooms, yet we're supposed to have like a fully fledged Veveverse, right? You know, maybe they're outsourcing pretty much literally all those aspects that we're kind of talking about right now, but just some sort of timeline would just be awesome at this point. So again, I love Veve, but these are just legitimate concerns that people have, including myself, and these are all topics that I wanted to bring up that because I'm gonna do a video, obviously this video today, and then tomorrow I'm gonna do a thing, probably something along the lines of 5 things I love about Veve, and I'm just kind of curious which things that Dave and Dan touch upon on the good and the, you know, bad things or topics that I've kind of talked about in the video. Are they going to keep doing the good things? Are they going to start addressing the bad things? Are they going to actually start giving us a little bit more explanation about some of the things that we have, like MTL, OUP, Q system, OMI to NFT, final master collector program update, comics and showrooms, Veveverse? Like, are we going to get any updates on any of this stuff, or is it just going to be more hashtag soon for the most part? So yeah, that's pretty much it. I would love to know down in the comments below what you guys think. Is there any kind of topics or things that I brought up that you're just like, oh my god, like, yes, finally someone said it? Or because I do feel like there are people that are silently upset about some things. Like for me, I don't think I'm ever gonna let the whole FAFE tag change just go, just because I feel like at that point it just opened really big can of worms, where it's like, we can make changes to NFTs, we're not gonna let you know, and you know, we said it was one thing, but now it's something completely different. But yeah, I'm not gonna get too much into it. But again, I love Veve, I love you guys, I love the community, and we're gonna have a much more optimistic and positive video tomorrow. So hope you guys take care. Please double and triple check all of your listings so you don't screw yourself over, and I'll catch you guys next time.